Hi everyone, and welcome to part 2 of our PySimpleGUI tutorials. In the last tutorial, we covered how to create a really basic window, enter some text, and have it pop out with the information that we entered. Today we're going to do something slightly more complicated. We're going to create this right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to let the user enter some information. We're going to have them click a button, and in the same window, we're going to update information in order to basically show some result of what was entered right here. So specifically, we're going to create this window where we can enter a distance in kilometers, and then click the button convert, and then the equivalent number of miles will be shown. And we can do that without a pop-up, like we did in the last example. So let's get started. Again, similar to the last video, I've actually never done this before. So you're going to see all the mistakes that I make, and I'm going to explain what went wrong and how to fix it as we go along. So let's get started. Also, before we get started, one thing I want to add is that all of this code can be done in REPL-IT as well. So if you're having troubles with getting PySimpleGUI or Python to work on your computer, you can run this code in PySimpleGUI and it'll work just fine. Now let's get started with PySimpleGUI. We're importing the package as SG. So we can just use SG instead of this whole mess right here, instead of this whole word in our code. Similar to how we used theme before, we're going to use a different function right here to kind of set the color scheme that's used for the window. So if you see right here, it's kind of like greenish, tannish, kind of military camouflage looking. So what we're going to do is we're going to set change look and feel. And we're going to enter green tan to get that look and feel. Next, as we did in our previous example, we're going to create a two-dimensional array to hold our layout. Our layout meaning what input areas we have, what buttons we have, what text is going to be shown, all of that stuff. So again, it's going to be a two-dimensional array. So we're going to have one array, one big array, one outer array, and on the inside we're going to have a bunch of little arrays that display where we put in what we want to be displayed. So going back to this example, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to create this label, enter distance in kilometers, followed by an input box. This would be our input box where we enter the number of kilometers. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to have sg.text for the label and enter distance in kilometers. And then for our, well, we're going to have that. And then for our input box, we're going to have sg.input and then kilo. So remember this key, well, I got to type in key right here. So remember this key is going to be used in order to use this value later on. So this key is going to be used to refer to whatever's been typed in. So we're going to have key value. We're going to have another argument right here. Do not clear equals false. And then we're going to have size equals 5, 1. So this basically means 5 characters across, one character tall. So it's just going to be one line, and we're going to be able to type a maximum of 5 characters in here. All right, and that's going to be our first array. We're going to have to do that right there. All right. So basically what we have right here is, if we go back to our example, we have enter distance in kilometers. Then we have our input box. And the value that's typed in here is going to be referred to by kilo. So our next input is going to be it's going to be some text right here. So this is going to be the number of kilometers that was entered right in here. So let's go ahead and do that. So again, let's create another array. And so we're going to create sg.text to show that this is just going to be some text. And we're going to add some arguments. It's going to look different than our previous sg.text. So 5.1, again, 5 characters, a maximum of 5 characters long, and 1 character high. So we're going to have that. We're going to have justification right, which kind of puts this on the right side of the window. And we're going to have, I didn't need that parentheses right there. And then we're going to have key equals out. KM. We're going to need some parentheses right there. So we're not going to finish this quite yet. So that's going to be our first piece of text. So what that is right now is that is only just matching up this to this right here. All right. And we're not going to close this array quite yet, actually. We're going to enter some other text before closing that array up. So sg.text km equals. We've got that, comma, sg.text size 5, size equals 5, 1, and then key equals out my. And then sg.text miles. And I'll show what all this matches up to here in a second. And we're just going to close up that array right there. So that's going to be the reason this is all in one array right here is because this is all taking place in one line. So right here we've got, move over here, we've got, let's move this a little bit up here. So in this line, we've got our kilometers. That's going to be updated due to this key out km. We've got the kilometers equals label right here. So that's this text right here. We've got the output, like the number of miles that'll be output. So the equivalent number of equivalent number of miles to kilometers right here. And then the label miles right here. All right. So now let's look at our next line. We've got 2 buttons on our next line. So both of these buttons are going to be in the same array. Let's take a look at how we can code that out. So we're going to have sg.button convert we're going to do bind return key. That's true. Then we're going to do sg.button quit. What this means right here is that the return key is equivalent to the convert button. So if we hit enter, we're also going to be converting. So sg.button quit. Okay. So what's wrong right there? Oh, okay, we're missing the end of this parentheses right here. All right. Array, we've got parentheses. Okay, cool. So that's good. So we've got 3 arrays for each of our 3 lines right here. So this convert button is going to go right here, and this quit button is going to go right here. All right, so we've got our layout, and similar to what we did before, we're going to create a variable called the window, and we're going to set that equal to sg.window. Let's create a name for this thing. We'll call it kilometer conversion. And then layout. So this layout's going right in here. So this is going to be the title of our window when we run this code. And then this layout variable is going right in here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about one of the most important parts of these programs. And this is something that didn't actually exist in the last example that we did. And it's called the event loop. So let's go ahead and write some code here. And we'll write some code. We'll actually write out the whole loop, and then I'll kind of explain what it means and what it's doing. So while true, you should recognize this as an infinite loop. Event values equals window.read. So remember this, we're basically reading what values are currently in the window. So by values, I mean basically what's been typed in here, and then any events that have occurred. So for example, if someone has clicked the button convert, or if someone has clicked quit, all of that's being recorded in the event variable. If we type in something here, that's being recorded in the values variable. And let's kind of see what that looks like, because that doesn't make sense otherwise. So we're gonna have an if statement. If event in none or quit break. So specifically, you can see that this matches up. Oh, what did we do wrong here? You can see this quit matches up right here. So if someone types in quit, then it's going to break this loop, and we're going to go to window.close, which is outside of this loop, and the whole program is going to end. So that's how the quit button works. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to do window out km dot update values kilo. Okay. So really quick, just for a bit of context as to why we typed that line of code. So remember right here, where we're entering our number of kilometers. That is this input right here, which has the key kilo. All right. And then remember out.km is this one right here. So it's sg.text 51. Out.km is this value right here. So basically what we're doing is we are taking out km, which is getting stored in value, and then we are updating it with the value of kilo. Next, we have window out my dot update float values Okay, so basically what's happening right here in this line of code is for this one right here, for miles. So if you look back up at the code, let's catch all of that. So what we've got right here is we've got windows out my. So this one right here. And given the order of these things, km equals, that's going to be the one right here. It's going to be that value right there. And we're going to update that with, so we're going to change what is an out my with this right here, values kilo. So whatever is in here is going to be used to update this right here, out my. And we're just going to multiply whatever is in here. We're going to cast it because remember it's a string. And then we're going to multiply it by 0.6214 to get the equivalent number of miles. That's just the number to convert it. So yeah, that's going to be what happens right here. All that's going to happen when we click the convert button. We'll get more into why the convert button links to that in a future, more complicated tutorial. For now, let's talk about this event loop. So what the event loop is doing is it's continually going through, so it's continually running every single time, and it is evaluating what events and values have taken place and taking the appropriate actions to update these. So it just keeps running, and it takes in whatever data has been changed, or whatever, well, not even whatever data has been changed, but it takes in the current data set, and then it uses that to carry out these lines of code. So for example, maybe someone enters 15 right here. So the loop runs, it catches that value, and then it runs this code to update what's here. And then the values change to 20. The loop, which is continually running, will pick that up, and it'll update this accordingly. So this loop is continually running in order to take values that have been entered and to run code, to take values that have been entered and to allow the window to react to that. So to update this according to what's been entered here continually. Anything that involves updating stuff in a window or making any changes, you're going to have to use this loop for. So this will be one of the more important components in any PySimpleGUI application that you build in the future. But enough of that, let's kind of actually just see whether this works or not, because it's very possible there's some kind of error in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do, we've got kilometer to mile.py, so Python no module named PySimpleGUI. Interesting. Let's kill that terminal and let's start over. Oh, okay. So it says module PySimpleGUI has no attribute input right here. So also one weird thing to notice is that when I just tried to execute it, it didn't let me, but then when I clicked the play button, for some reason it did. And that could be because either I killed the terminal or something weird is happening. But anyways, let's go back here and let's fix our code right up here. So this needed to be capitalized. So I think there's probably some other errors, but let's go ahead and just run that and just see what happens now. Save that, run that. Okay, so list indices must be integers or slices, not tuples. So there's something going wrong probably with our parentheses. So let's kind of analyze this line of code and see what's going on here. So, all right, oh, okay, I know what it is. Forgot our commas right here. That's what it is. Commas. Okay, let's give that another try. Save that, try it again. Okay, looks like it works. Kind of small, but still works. We can work on that size at a different point in time. Okay, so let's say we've got 32. Convert 32 kilometers equals 19.8848 miles. Again, remember this is only going to be 5 characters wide, so that's why this is being cut off right here. Okay, let's try something else. 29, convert. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so right here it says bind return key. So if I type in 54 and I hit the return button, which I'm doing on my keyboard, automatically updates. That's what this one does. Right here. So we'll talk more about this, why this button works. My guess is that because it's neither one of these, that it's just going to go ahead. Because we're clicking on this and it's neither one of these two things, it's not quit and it's not none, it's just going to go ahead and execute this code by default. Again, we'll talk more about buttons in the future. I wanted to keep this example simple though. So again, let's go ahead and execute this. Yeah, so this is our code. I'll put the full code up online as well so you can read it. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You'll have a homework assignment soon that will basically require you to make use of what you just learned in this tutorial. So, have a nice day.